Inner sincerity. Real will, or real I, which alone has real will ergo master, comes down from a higher level. Such as we are, with many conflicting I's in our personality, we have only that quality of will, which is the result of their different small personal wills. Hence, real will, real I or master, comes down from above. Consider then what this means, and try to reflect upon any trace of experience within it. When we make up our minds, it is really the different I's in us that do this. Therefore, when we make up our mind, as it's called, we follow the ideas of little I's. Real will, however, is above them, and operates through quite different ideas. So what does above mean then? Above is the same as inner. So what does inner represent? Reflect upon what is inner, what lies above or higher than us, because what is higher is inner. The higher influences coming from the ray of creation are inner, they lie within us. Any outer part, such as personality, that Mrs. So-and-so, Miss So-and-so, or Mr. So-and-so, are all under outer influences, relatively the lowest in the ray of creation. To climb the ray, the side octave coming down from the sun, is to become more internal, in everything we think, feel, do, and say. Explain what that means then, to become more internal. From what exactly do we act and feel or think? Take an individual who wishes to get attention, that is vain, and from this vanity wishes to get on in this work, behaving in certain ways with that aim in mind. From what is this person acting? Is this person acting from personality or not? Can they give anything to the work? Of course not, but why not? Here we come up against the very work itself, and its real meaning. This work is about weakening personality, and to make what is real in us, which is essence, grow. So if we act in the work in such a way as to get some advantage, some place, and so on, then our efforts will amount to no good in a work sense. In view of all that the work teaches, this can be expected. However, one may of course ignore the teaching of the ideas in this work, and formulate an aim that originates entirely from personality, and is therefore useless for any growth of essence. Which is where you'll encounter some more modern adaptations of the Enneagram. Everything pseudo, everything pretend, everything false, is of no use in this work. To reach anywhere, to get anything, we must first be sincere with ourselves. We must have inner sincerity, which means that we must be able to detect through self-observation when we are not genuine, as far as is possible at our level. When we try to form will from an insincere basis, when we are insincere for ourselves at our present level, then we will not touch essence, and not real I, which lies close to essence. How remarkable it is to ponder in solitude the meaning of this work and all esotericism, then notice what in one's being desires it genuinely. Everyone enters the work with his or her own personality full on, then for a long time things are all mixed up and confusing. But later we begin to think those more inner thoughts about the whole matter. Here is where someone can move closer to sounding dough or not. To sound dough is to value this work through inner sincerity. What does that mean, to value the work? It means that we do, with all that we can summon within us. However, that may sound vague to some. How many years does it take to sound dough resolutely, more deeply, and with sincerity? We can catch a glimpse or sound a weak dough from time to time, partly through another force, which is a good thing. However, this weak dough is easily snatched away elsewhere, as it were, through trials, and so the dough is not yet a real starting point for us. The work begins when we have to struggle for it ourselves, and keep it alive for and by ourselves, because all that is best in us really wants it to be so, feeling at a loss if it is not present. People can of course think that they have sounded a genuine dough, but have as yet done nothing of the kind. When we are in false personality, everything we do is outer and so superficial, for the sake of attention, self-interest, praise and merit. That is outer and therefore lower. Again, what does inner or higher imply? It means something very interesting once we begin to really see it. It means a continued struggle within ourselves, to get to what is real, discarding any pretentious and invented facets. Here we enter a sort of desert or wilderness, in which we are tempted a great deal with regard to the work itself. Not necessarily a 40 days and 40 nights saga, but an extended period nonetheless. Speaking then about the place will comes from, in an ordinary sense, can any of us truly will what we know? We know and understand that lying destroys essence, which is another way of saying that essence can only grow through what is sincere and genuine within us. We take a long time to connect this work with life and what happens every day to us, our reactions to what happens in our lucid moments. For a long time there is a gap between the practice of this work and our actual life or behavior. We see people taking what happens to them in life as if it has nothing to do with the work, and see people obviously entranced by their imagination of what life should be like, their reactions to their imagining. Social media influencers like to project this to us through their posts and streaming. In both cases, the important thing is non-identifying. Certainly it is difficult and long work. It is indeed not easy to wake up. We have to connect this work with our daily lives. We cannot dream of the work or dream that we are a conscious person. However, the danger is that our imagination can satisfy every center and every part of a center, then continue to do so for a long period of time. We are advised to try to use imagination actively, as for instance, to imagine what it would be like to be conscious and visualize that, then to manifest it. There is a certain kind of necessary inner persuading of sorts that has to do with directed imagination, and so with deliberate visualization. It tends to create something definite as us. Remember though what was inferred with the reins between driver and horse, with regard to the place of origin, and the quality of will. Will originating from outer eyes in false personality is of no value to us. So-called will from daily, momentary and small eyes have short memory and attention spans, therefore go to sleep and will soon dissipate. We must fabricate our will upon something better and much deeper. We cannot really build real will, however, and must instead attract it, because it comes from above, from within us, from deeper thoughts and feelings of higher intellectual and higher emotional center. Since to pray is difficult and requires a great ideal of intensity and sincerity, we must find some other preliminary way of gaining access to real I, or will. It has been said that the Master cannot speak to us directly, but only through ideas of this work. And unless the work is already represented in our understanding, we cannot hear real I. The first thing therefore is to try to understand the work, what it is about, what its background is and why it is necessary, why it has always existed, why B influences exist and so on. This is the first step to attracting real will. No one can do anything like this from vanity, or from false personality, which is the most outer, most subjective and turned to life side of ourselves. Since real will or master is internal to us, such as we are now psychologically, internal to all the things we say and feelings that we have, internal to all jealousies, troubles, identifications and account-making. Since real I lies deep to all this churning sea of oneself, it is necessary to observe ourselves as a starting point. For self-observation means that we begin to move inward, behind ourselves, deep to the foundation upon which we have tried to find the real meaning of life and our place within its fabric.